I click here. So this is taking during a stream. So you can now present yourself because, as I said, it will be re-uploaded to my channel. And now we have some echo. I think it's fixed. Is it fixed? Yeah, it's fixed. So you can now present yourself because, as I said, I will re-upload the replay on the second channel. Are you there? We lost him. He is probably fixing his things, I guess. I think. So chat, did you enjoy the very, very short game? Bow, 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 bow. That's good, that's the point. So now we are waiting after kantbei if kantbei is still alive. Oh. Okay. I guess I will cut. I will do some cuts when I re-upload. So, do I send you the link or you will try to connect? Okay. Is it working now? This is the true question. It's working. Okay. So, I will just change to the Eagle team because as much as I like Olaf, we need some Eagle. Some Eagle! Boom. Loop. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, my project's still not working, but I can pretty much.
That's a disaster. Are you able to fix it?
Sorry, try kicking me out again. I didn't mute my laptop, that's why it's echoing.
Some technical issues. It will be solved. It will be solved. This is what's going on when we stream. See? Things happen. So, do I send you the invite back?
Yeah, send me the invite again.
Boom. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Okay, I'm trying to connect.
Okay. Is it working now?
Yes, it's working now.
And there is no echoing. That's amazing. I like it. So, now, as I mentioned earlier, it will be re-uploaded. So, you can now present yourself, even if people probably already know you, you can still present yourself to any new people over the channel.
Hey everyone, for those of you who don't know me, I'm kantbei. I'm a fairly high-rated FOG player, hovering somewhere in the top 10 at the moment. And I'm here to help you guys get free wins in FOG.
So, thank you very much for coming again. So now let's do this. You are in charge. You control the replay. After
Okay, I
after many
think we're
minutes
gonna skip.
of glitch, it's fine. Okay, you skip. Okay, let's skip it.
Yeah, skip to turn 3. That's like the most interesting part. I don't think there's anything really you can talk about in the first 2 turns. So the first thing you need to do on this map, every game, no matter what CO you pick, is turn 3, you have to build a recon from this base. If you don't do it, you just lose, which is what happens in this game for you, right? Like, you didn't build recon very late, and that's why you lost so fast.
Okay, I ask you right now the question: Why a recon so fast? I will. Now I know you're much more skilled than me, as shown many times. I'm still wondering why recon turn 3, because based on my experience on my realm of players, we barely have recon in this map, and maybe that's why I got crushed and I didn't understood what my chat was telling me when they were telling me recon turn 3. Uh, why is it so important that recon turn 3, and is there any other way to open in this map without like getting slapped the way I got slapped?
So the reason why you go recon day 3 here is, number one, it's the earliest time you can get a recon without a base skip. You can try for a day 2 recon, but it doesn't achieve any. It doesn't achieve that much more than a day 3 recon, so it's inferior. Um, the other reason why day 3 recon is so important is because of the center pipe seam. There is basically no way a tank or really anything can answer that recon in a reasonable amount of time. So the recon will always get like 1 or 2 free hits in. And if your opponent just decides to not capture the forward cities, like for you it would be like this city, this city, this city. If you just decide not to capture those 3 cities because of my recon, which you'll see because it'll park here, right? It doesn't matter. The recon's already achieved its value, right? Like it's denied you 3k income every turn for X amount of turns, right? So like the recon pays for itself just by existing if you don't go for those cities. If you do go for those cities, then the recon just hits infantry forever until the tank can come out from here. But even then, like the fastest tank timing can't answer the recon. So like the recon has no answer, which is why like I've been petitioning for the map committee to change this B-boat into a lander, so that at least like you can do a lander drop with a fast tank to answer the recon. Because right now, there's basically no other opening you can do. If you don't do a day 3 recon, you just lose if your opponent does it.
So now this is very good information. Thank you very much. Now I will bring up what the chat just said. There's there are ways to organize infantry to avoid taking hits on your black bolt side. The 2 hits are not guaranteed against high level players. So do you understand what he just mentioned, or I'm just too bad in English and you did not? And if you did
Yeah,
understood,
so
do you know what he is talking about?
yeah, I understand. So like he's saying, there's if you avoid these 2 cities here, at 1605 and 1803 from your perspective, right? For me, it would be like 313 and 115. Then the recon will avoid being able to get any hits in. And this is true. Like the recon won't hit infantry, but like I said earlier, the fact that those 2 cities get denied, is already the recon getting value in, right? So like even if the recon hits no infantry, the fact that you have to go through these inefficient capture paths to avoid the recon is already giving it value, right? So like it doesn't matter if they doesn't actually get any hits in or it doesn't kill any infantry, it will still get value, right? It will still deny income, so it's perfectly fine even if it doesn't do anything.
Thank you very much. This is good
The
insight.
other thing that people might consider here is like they might try like a mech opening to answer the recon. It can potentially work, but again, like it also slows your capture phase, so it's not as if the recon doesn't get value. And as you can see, like in our game, like if the mech doesn't position correctly, the recon and some infantry can just roll over that side fairly easily anyway. So the mechs are not always a good answer to the recon if you don't position well. So that's just why like you have to do recon every game. I don't think it's a question that there's another opening you can do here.
Okay, even if you just say that, I hate that opening. So basically, I can only aid this map, and there's really no
Yeah,
other option.
yeah, it's an understandable viewpoint, and like I also don't like this map anymore. Like I feel like a map like this just solved. When I say solved, I mean like the first 7 turns are forced. Like you have to do it or you lose. It's very boring from a strategic perspective. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of room for ability, and like you just have to memorize the opening. It's not very fun. So like me and a couple of other players have been saying like if this was a lander, this map would be so much better.
True.
But yeah. Right now,
True.
like I don't think this map should be in the global league. It should just be removed.
I totally agree. Based on what you just told me, like so far, I've been enjoying this map on my level, but based on what you just mentioned me and told me, this must be terrible in your realm of players, in your level of players. Man, this map is trash.
Yeah, it's pretty bad at high level because everyone just does the same thing. It's like a mirror 99% of the time.
Wow.
Um, Even like CO picks are kind of already like figured out. Like the best pick for every tier is Sammy T4. She should actually be T3, but she's T4 here. She's too good in tier 4. In tier 3, it's always Kindle because Kindle can break the seam in 2 turns, and all of the properties which you're forced to land on gives her
Yeah.
COP value, right?
Yeah.
In tier 2, I think it's just Eagle. Maybe Olaf. It's just like it's the most possible tier to play on. And then if tier 1 existed, not that it does, but if tier 1 existed, Javier would be banned, of course, because it's 2 towers per side. That would make it, I think, Von Bolt. Yeah, I think Von Bolt would just be the pick every game.
Or
So like
Sturm if
it's a
Sturm is
fairly
not
boring
banned.
map from. Okay, if Storm's not banned, then it might be Storm. But yeah, like I think just from like a CO perspective, like variety wise, it's very boring. Like there's a best pick every tier that
Lash
we've
it
more or less figured out.
Lash is actually viable. I know Kindle is better, but Lash is actually viable in this map because you can just bum rush the HQ and prime tactic the HQ with battle copters because you can like lock the river. I did that many times. Maybe it's only working on my realm of players, but on my level at least it's working well.
Yeah, so the problem with Lash is just she's not better than Kindle here, basically. You can play her for sure. Like, she's not bad, but it's just like, why would you when Kindle is there? So, like, if you're thinking from a perspective like best picks, Kindle just beats Lash.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough heavy terrain for her, right? Like, every heavy terrain is actually a city or a property, so Kindle just does 10% more damage, and she has a COP, and her SCOP is better. So, like, what exactly does Lash offer that she doesn't?
Yeah.
And the answer is not much, which is unfortunate. I feel like there should be more maps which cater to Lash over Kindle, just to like for more CO variety. But it is what it is.
And I also believe Kindle should be considered tier 2 in most maps, but that's my take of like a 900 MMR player. But I do think Kindle is really good and she can be viable against like sometime Olaf and Eagle depending on the map. But in longer game, Eagle and Olaf will just stomp her, but like early in the game she will have the edge over them, I think.
Um, I'm actually not sure if like Kindle will lose to tier 2 here versus Eagle or Olaf. So the problem with Max is that he's forced to get artillery, and then if the map stalls out, and the way the map will stall is if you trade corners quickly, but then Max can't hold his weak corner easily, like his B-boat corner easily, then the map will stall because it's just you fight along this really narrow space, and everyone reinforces through the center, and then it's just a stall, so he loses.
Okay.
Kindle can potentially get around that because she can break the seam really early. She does it in 2 shots. You need 130 attack at least, so Kindle just parks an artillery on a lab or a city, and she can break it in 2. And then she can get artillery fine, so it's not as if she's crazy weak in a stall situation. And yeah, so like she has a lot of tempo play on this map that she can potentially fight Eagle or Olaf. I know Starflash has had some success with her here. I don't think I'd be brave enough to pick her personally, but I can see her getting some play here.
Okay, that's good to know. Now I've got another question in the chat right now. For tier 4, Jake in this map, is it a good pick?
Um, no, because Sammy exists. Basically, Sammy can't be beaten here by anyone, and
Okay,
that's because of the recon interaction, right?
okay,
Sammy can go for all the contested cities that and no other CO can go for and get them because her infantry don't get interrupted by just one recon, right? It doesn't work. After that, Sammy will just go like a double T-copter or a single T-copter and rush out mechs, and then her mechs are very oppressive here. She can get in more mechs than you can get out tanks really quickly, and
yeah,
then once Victory March comes out, like she will get an income advantage for sure. She will get a tower advantage for sure. So like Sammy's traditional weakness where she has 10% less firepower does not actually exist here because she will get 3 towers to your 1 at some point with Victory March, and then she will just kick your ass in a normal tank fight, right? So she doesn't even lose there. So no one can fight her in tier 4.
okay. Now that leads me to a question. Um, if they are finally smart and they finally consider Sammy tier 3 in 90% of Funk maps, because in my own opinion she should be tier 3 in most of the map. Now there are some maps where she is terrible and she should be 4, but my take on Sammy, she should be 3 in most Fog maps, because she's
Mm-hmm.
just a very good CO, and I think she's just better than all the other 4. So if we take her out because they decide to make her 3 in this map, is Jake viable? Or what's the second pick in tier 4 outside of Sammy?
Okay, so if Sammy gets taken out of tier 4, everyone in tier 4 is fine. Like Grim is fine, Jake is fine, Jess is fine, Adder probably fine. Maybe I probably wouldn't pick Adder, but I don't see him losing that hard.
Okay.
So yeah, everyone becomes viable then, which is why, like I say, Sammy should be tier 3, right? Because from just a CO variety perspective, tier 4 suddenly becomes like fun to play, or like it becomes, it's not a mirror every game, right? So
Yeah.
that's why, like I say, Sammy shouldn't be tier 4.
That leads me to
And like it's
another.
not even clear to me that Sammy will lose to Kindle here necessarily, or like Sammy will lose to Andy. I don't think that's necessarily true because she can get a lot of tempo with her COP here. So tier 3 would also actually get fixed with Sammy being tier 3.
Okay. Now that leads me to another question. Grim, because of both pipe scene, I do think Grim is very good because he can blow up the pipe scene in 2 turns, even white out the tower in the corner. So is he a good pick?
So the reason why Grim is okay here is, yeah, like mentioned earlier, he can blow up the pipe seam in 2 shots, which is he's the only CO that can do that in tier 4.
Yeah.
When he gets 2 towers, basically his copters will always one shot on enemy copters. So you can, if you want to play a bit riskier, you can even go like no A here as Grim. It's fairly okay. Of course, like your compositions might still be like really paper thin, but your Grim, you're kind of always paper thin anyway. It doesn't matter what you wall with. So yeah, I think Grim's viable. He's probably not like ever going to be the best pick, but he's certainly playable, right? Which is the best he can really ask for on most maps.
Yeah. So let's keep going, except if you want to add more.
No, that was pretty much it for me. So yeah, turn 4, you still don't have your recon here. You get an artillery first, which is the next best opening you can do, but I think you actually move the artillery to the wrong spot.
That's
Other
what
thing
my
to note
chat
is
was
like you
telling
shouldn't
me.
move this infantry.
My chat was telling me
Yeah.
the same thing, and that's funny because I didn't understood, but then I realized, wow, I've been playing this map wrong on so many levels for so long. I don't know how long like
Yeah.
it's on the pool, but I always love the pipe sim at the end because it's just what I felt right. There's not always a deep um thought process behind what I do. It's just like instinct, I guess, and instinct can be wrong most of the time, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so the reason why you don't want to move this infantry here, right, is like this infantry should be ferried across the map. Even like versus a recon, you just have to do it. The second to fourth infantry you build from this base, always has to be ferried across. The fourth and fifth, sometimes you can ferry it across, sometimes you don't. I usually ferry it across. Because like there's some openings you can do where you skip this city, for example, and you go for this city instantly, so the recon can't deny it. There's some place like that, but of course, like you lose the infantry anyway. So it's just a question of like, do you want the unit count or do you want the city? But yeah, like you just need to keep ferrying infantry on this side for sure. If you don't have enough infantry, then you can't even use mechs, and then you have no answer to the recon. Also, like, even if you move it to the left, like, this infantry won't be able to do anything. Like, it can capture a lab, but the labs don't give income, so it doesn't matter. This early on, because, like, the opening is solved, like I mentioned earlier, doesn't actually matter if you give them vision or not. Like, everyone who's competent will be opening the same way anyway, and you can just predict it. So even if you see it or if you don't, like, you can just say, like, oh, they're gonna do the standard opening anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? And that's why, like, there's no point capturing the labs too early. But later down the line, like mid-game, capturing the labs is fine to deny vision and to make it harder for the opponent to predict what you're building, because if you never capture them, then a good opponent who knows how to like information read will be able to like figure out everything you've built from every base, even if they just from the information of units passing through the labs. Unless you go through like really suboptimal paths to get to the front, which might lose you tank fights anyway, right? So it's like fairly losing either way you put it. Okay, normal capture stuff, more infantry, preparing to get my artillery. And then here we see where your artillery goes. Okay, this is another slight mistake. This infantry should not be going for the airport. This is the job of this port infantry. So, like we've discussed before, right? One way to figure out what is the most optimal capture path, start with your most backwards infantry, right? So this infantry right now is your most backwards infantry. What can it capture in 2 turns? Basically, it can only go for the airport. Does this infantry get there any sooner? Not really, it also takes 2 turns. So, it should be the job of this infantry, and this infantry should be going forward here.
This is very interesting. I like this response. I will see this map always in the new way because of that. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, and then, you know, for this infantry here, it shouldn't finish capturing the lab really, because it can capture the city, and the city gives you income, the lab doesn't. So, like, if your opponent sees, like, you have a recon, it doesn't matter, because they would, like, everyone goes recon here anyway at high level, right? And even if they see your recon, what are they gonna do to stop it? Like, even if they build a tank, they can't stop it, right? So it doesn't matter if they see it. And the other thing is, like, money is always good, so always go for the city if you can. So yeah, there's no point capturing this lab here. You should have just gone for the city instead. Here, rushing the tower, I think is actually fine. Maybe it's a bit too early though, because it's, in my experience, like, if you load the second batch of infantry here, if you unload 2 of them, like, both of them will be able to get this tower and, like, one of the cities here.
Okay.
So, like, this infantry should either have gone for this capture here if you want to play a bit aggressive, or gone for this capture here.
Okay.
Tower is a bit too early. But I think it's kind of fine in your situation here, because, like, you messed up with the movement of one of your infantry. Like, you should have 1 more infantry here this turn that you don't, and so this tower is going to get delayed. And if you delay it any further, it's possible the recon can deny it. That's happened to me a few games. So, yeah, like, because, like, you move suboptimally here, you're forced to do something suboptimal here, and then it will just domino. Okay, so I'm just gonna skip through that turn because honestly, not that much interesting happens. Like, everything I told you that you should have done is what I did. The reason, I think we didn't cover the reason why you break the center seam over the side seam here. The reason why you do that is because if you break the center seam, 2 of your bases can immediately access the center area, and from this center area, they can either defend your lander side, your B-boat side, I mean, or they can pressure the enemy B-boat side, right? Or they can pressure the enemy center if they don't break the center seam very quickly, right? So they have all these options. If you break open the side seam, The only thing that really goes faster is this base here, because this base actually doesn't get here any faster if it exits from here or if it exits from here. It's almost the same thing. Um, and then this airport, yes, it is accelerated, but only by a little. And anyway, you want the airport to be kind of centralized anyway. The copters, like copters straight down here, doesn't feel that good compared to like copters somewhere more here. Like if they go here and then down here, they'll be able to influence multiple areas of the fight. If they go straight down here, they can only influence kind of like this area. It's a lot more passive.
Okay.
The other thing is like because you show your opponent that because like if you break the pipe seam health is always visible in fog, right?
Yeah.
So if you break this seam, it immediately tells me oh, you didn't go for this seam, which means my recon can hit your infantry for like another 2-3 turns, right? And that's just like making my recon have more value than it should. And then you finish capturing a lab, which is again a mistake. You really needed to capture this city at some point. Like you're down so much income right now for no reason. And it's going to mess up your vehicle timings. It's also going to be the reason why later down the line it feels like I have so many more tanks than you. It's because like you did get all these early income that you should have. Here I do something a bit risky. I actually go greed for like these 2 cities immediately. And that's because like I kind of realized, oh, he went artillery first. He has no recon, so I'm gonna get these 2 cities for free now, right? Like he's not gonna be able to deny anything.
Yeah.
And he's never gonna get his 3 cities here. He's probably not even gonna get this city. Like at this point, I realized. So I was like, okay, I basically won the game already. Turn 6. Like as long as I don't mess up anything, I will have like a 5k income advantage in the mid game. I will have like 4 more tanks. I just have to not throw away those tanks and I will win the game. The other reason why like I think that is because even if we just trade off corners here, it will become like a one front map, right? There's only one area we can fight, which is the center. And Eagle will crush Olaf on those maps. Olaf is
Yeah.
only better than Eagle when the fight is kind of like spread out across multiple fronts, because then his mass damage will affect both fronts and he can try to like make Eagle's SCOP not as strong, because it won't be like all our army is fighting in one area. So I won't just get like for sure second hits on my SCOP turn, right?
Yeah.
But since this map, if we trade off corners, then that's what will happen. Combined with like my income advantage, like it's just game over basically, right? And this is why I don't like this map. Like if you can win the game by like turn 6 with just from like your opponent messing up the opening, it feels pretty bad.
That's funny. I laugh because chat was telling me the same thing around like day 4, day 5. They were telling me you already lost. And I was like, I will go out as a samurai. I will die with honor.
Yeah. Okay, so you're doing some captures now. This is all fairly reasonable considering like the board state you're in. You move the artillery out, you get a tank, that's all fairly decent. And then I just do what I said I do, like I get infantry out, like I unload infantry. The reason I unload here instead of here is because I want this infantry to be able to go for this tower, and this infantry to get this. If I unload here, this city either gets delayed by a turn or this tower gets delayed by a turn. So it's more efficient to unload here, although generally I unload here if I'm not going for this tower. Because from here, like the infantry can get to this area sooner, and I don't really want to fight here anyway. Like there's no way you win a fight in this area. They will have too much infantry, and your vehicles have a hard time supporting. So you want to be fighting more towards here on your side of the map.
That's funny because I used to see the map as we blow up this pipe seam and then we bomb rush this side to steal the other player tower. That's the way I was picturing the map. But after what you said, after my chat said, this is where the action must happen. These flanks are like distraction.
No, I mean you're right that the flanks are the correct place to play on. Like you don't really want to fight center really. Not until you have an advantage, at least. But you approach it not through this seam, but through the center. Because from the center, you can potentially threaten to defend. You can potentially threaten to attack here. And, like, to be honest, if you break this area is already dead, right? Because, like, a single copter will kill all the infantry. It doesn't matter how many mechs or infantry they build, right? They're never going to defend against a copter. If you cut off this area, the AA can never answer the copter. And if they try to, like, match you copter versus copter, then you just get an AA, and then you win from an AA and a copter and some infantry, and you eat everything here, right? So it's the concept of, like, minimal investment to win the most cities that you can. So, like, the fact that you have tanks here controlling this area, and, like, the tanks here can threaten to defend, right? Then you can just win this area for free with a copter and an AA and some infantry. Or, like, in my case, like, in our game, I just used a recon and some infantry, right? Because, like, I had cut you off, or, like, I knew you weren't sending tanks here. So I was like, okay, there are no tanks, so, like, my recon can just hit infantry all day, and it doesn't matter what you do, right? So you're not incorrect that you should be playing for the side. It's just, like, the way you achieve that threat is in. Fairly normal capture phase. Like, I do this every game, basically. You can just memorize this and you'll win games. Here it's important that you get the tank after the artillery, so that if you're not playing Kindle or Grim or Lash, you know, you can kill this pipe seam in 2 turns instead of 3 turns. An artillery and a tank will finish this off in, I think, 2 shots each from them. Will finish off a pipe seam almost always. Okay, let's see what you did. You tried to go for a capture, which is not advisable, but honestly, like, there's nothing better you could have done at this point. You don't have a mech, you don't need a yeah, all your infantry just died. Yeah. This infantry should have potentially gone for this city instead, so that this infantry can go straight down and, like, start threatening captures here. And that's just because, like, this infantry isn't really gonna be able to do much anyway. Like, if it goes here, like, it doesn't really accelerate anything. You get a recon, which is fine. And then you finally get a mech, which is also okay. You need an answer to the recon, and the tank's not gonna cut it anymore. It's just too slow.
That's funny because usually I
just keep hitting your infantry because
I ate megs, but then my chat was telling me, like, I asked chat what can I do, and then he told me a meg to counter the recon. I was like, okay, for once I will accept making megs.
Yeah, like, a mech here is honestly fine. Like, mech is one of the ways you can potentially slow down the too much damage, because this game is a damage race map. Similar to Misty, right? Yeah. You want to slow down their attack as much as you can while accelerating your own. Mech helps slow down the recon from just, like, you know, getting free hits every turn. So it's an okay build. 1 or 2 mechs are fine. Here I go for a copter because I'm Eagle. Why not? And, like, at this point I was thinking, I'm probably gonna get 3 towers, right? So if I have 3 towers, then I'm gonna have, like, 145% attack. I'm basically Sensei, which feels pretty funny. So, like, I said, okay, I'm gonna start getting copters. Anyway, I want a copter anyway because, like, if I cut you off here, you don't have an AA, then my copters will just, like, shred through this area very fast. Or I can support the center fight. Like, a copter is not a terrible build anyway for Eagle, so why not? Here you know, do some captures on the labs. Honestly, like, not much else you could have done here. This is the correct play, actually, like, dropping the mech because it's on terrain, and I don't really have towers yet, although you don't potentially know that. But even if I take the first hit, like, I will trade off the recon for the mech, and I don't really want to do that because my recon is more valuable than your mech. Your mech can be reinforced fairly quickly, like, you can replace that in a turn. My recon takes, like, 4 turns to arrive, so I don't want to trade off my recon. This tank move is really too passive. You don't need to sit on the HQ this early. There's no way there's going to be a threat. this
I
early
was
on.
scared. You know
Um,
why? My chat was going
mhm.
all crazy about I already lost, and it was like you will make a dead ball and everything. So I was like, oh no, is it happening already? So I just left my tank on the HQ because I was scared.
Okay, so when they say that, they probably mean you're gonna lose because like strategically I'm in a winning position, not because like I'm gonna take your HQ. I don't think I've ever won via HQ capture here because it rarely ever happens. To be honest, like HQ is really hard to take in my opinion. You just park an artillery behind it, right? And if you're not
Th-
fighting Sammy, you're safe.
Dude, that
So like your tank can be somewhere further here or somewhere further here,
that's
and there's
so funny.
basically if
That's
yeah, basically
funny.
if you know.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's funny because you say you never won by HQ cap, but I won so many times with last HQ cap in this map.
I mean, it
Uh,
can potentially happen. I guess it's just like I think it's really hard to pull off against like a strong opponent. So I don't generally bank my plans on that, especially not this early. Like turn 9 is just way too early, unless like the map is fundamentally broken in some way. And there's some maps which are, but this is not one of them. um, so yeah, your tank could have been more aggressive like somewhere here. And if you know like the vehicle timings, which if you look at like my one game here, you will know the vehicle timings. Like the fastest vehicle timing does not let me attack your tank in this area. Like the fastest tank you can get is here by this turn, and this tank can only go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you park anywhere on the diagonal before this forest, so like anywhere here, you're completely safe. Like this tank can't get hit. It's just impossible, unless you're fighting Stern. But there's no tier 1 here, so it doesn't matter. Okay, let's see. Turn 9. I get 3 towers, so I'm fairly happy here because now I'm 100% sure like this game is over. I mean, it was already over a couple turns ago, to be honest, but like this is just like winning even harder, basically. And like you're very quickly running out of things that you can do to like try and stop me. I get a fast AA here because very common situation here is like you have too many tanks and you don't have a copter, and then like a copter can shut down your ability to defend here. It's happened to me too many times, so I get a fast AA here generally now. Okay. Your turn, you hide your mech in the forest, which is fine. Like there's really nothing else you can do, to be honest, which is why like I'm saying the game is already kind of lost because like even your best moves feel pretty terrible is not a good position to be in.
I tried my
The
best to
other
shield my tank, and I wanted at least the
yeah.
tower. That's why I did that.
I mean, yeah, it's reasonable. The problem is like this tank honestly should have just gone, and then like maybe you could have tried to fight for it, but like because you only have one tank and you have the 2 artillery and the recon and the AA you just built, so it doesn't matter. But because of
Um,
all of those things, and a lot of the reason why those builds are the way they are is because you didn't get the cities that you needed to get immediately, right? Like you went for the labs first. So
yeah,
you can see how like it started to like spiral, right? All
yeah,
your tank builds are delayed. So you can't fight for this tower, so then you never get this tower, so then you never get these cities, so then you lose the game.
yeah.
Right? Like it very quickly spirals down from there.
My thought process by sending the tank there is turbo your tower, as my chat was telling me, and this will lead to another failure.
I mean, yeah, like I don't blame you for trying to get the tower. Like you were basically in a now or never situation. But then again, just like you have no good place left, right? Like it's just down from opening, which is why this map is kind of bad. If you have no way to get back in the game strategically after like the first few turns, because like you've messed up the opening, like it's not very fun to play. Um, yeah, like your best possible move is just like streaming tanks down the center to try and like deadlock me here. And I don't know, maybe you get your SCOP and you get like a really good engagement somehow, but it's all kind of like honestly really really hard to play. And then I'm just like using my recon and just a bunch of infantry to like flood this area because I know like all your vehicles seem to be here. Otherwise, why would you break these 2 pipe seams? I don't see a tank coming from this direction, so like this is all just free right now, and I don't have to commit anything here except one recon to win. And once I win this area and you fail to win this area, which you will fail because all my vehicles are here, then I just win the game because I'm Eagle and I have an income advantage. Like, how do you win? Yeah, it doesn't work like that, right? Um, I was considering like whether I should just give up the tower at this point, but I was like, I'm gonna YOLO it because I feel like your opening was kind of terrible. So I'm feeling kind of confident. I'm just gonna go for it and let's see what happens. And I end up being correct. Like, yeah, I just get killed 2 infantry for 1 infantry, and it turns out like you weren't able to fight me. I thought you would actually like start taking an engagement. Maybe you had like 2 tanks, and you'd get 2 hits in, but that's not what happened. So it just ended up like going really well for me, and the rest of the game is just a stomp.
So
Right? Like I think you were
that's
2 turns.
funny. That's funny because the other day, I forgot if it wasn't on the comment of one of my video or in the chat of one of my stream, but I remember someone telling me all Cliff Remix was the worst fog map, and I kind of didn't understood. But now, based on this replay commentary we are currently doing, I do agree with you. This map is terrible. This map is trash. I don't want to replay this game ever again.
Yeah, like once you know the secret, right? Like once you figure out, or once you've been told the opening, the map just it gets ruined for you, right? Like you
Yeah.
realize like, oh, I have to do the same thing every game, and I can't do anything else for the first 7 turns. That's so boring. So
What's the
so yeah,
point
like,
of a strategy game if you cannot really imply a strategy game? That's also why I don't really like chess, because chess is very square based and it's all
mhm.
about pattern of pieces. So the game, they most of the time they all end up the same way. Even if you can do so much, you cannot really do so much because you are limited to what the piece can do and what the board can let you do. And this is why I think Advance Wars is a much better strategy game. And this map here ruins everything. This map is like a chess map.
Yeah, this map is like basically solved, which is why like it needs changes. Honestly, it's not very healthy, competitive. And then we can just breeze through the rest of my turn. But honestly, like, I'm just taking every hit that I see at this point. I even like didn't delay my capture here because I wanted to use an infantry and a recon to clear your mech, so that my recon would be completely unanswered now, which is what I do, right?
Yeah.
So the moment the mech, then like you have no answer to anything, you have to get another mech maybe, but it would feel bad. You're also losing on this side. It's just very demoralizing. So even if like it's not, maybe it's not the most optimal play, but it is like demoralizing. And in Fog, like you can just make someone resign because they feel like they lost, even if they haven't.
Yeah. I also
I was
learned
kind of just
another map. Assassin, the map we actually played in. Someone
uh-huh.
played it really hardcore. Like, he is another content creator, and we played together on this map because he have seen the video we did together, and he was like, "I want to play in this map because I know the map." And then the first time I really crushed him. It was like Lash versus Andy. I really really crushed him. And then we had a rematch in the same map, and he decided to pick Lash, so it was basically a mirror match. And this is crazy because I learned that in mirror match, player 1 will always win in this map because it's an HQ race, and there's only one way to really counter the HQ race. And at the time I played against him, I didn't know that only way. You need to spam Battlecopter when you realize your Black Bolt is in danger if you are player 2, because you won't make it in time. You will just lock the river, the bridge, and then he will just HQ cap you. So I basically lost. He is a good guy. He's a great guy, but I basically lost to a guy less experienced and less skilled than me. Um, because he's brand new to Advance Wars by Web. He played like the campaign and everything, but there's a big difference between like someone that played like me. I played a lot of Advance Wars by Web, so even if I'm not skilled, I'm experienced, you know, and this should
Mhm.
factor in. But I lost in that mirror match based on I didn't know how to properly counter like the HQ rush, and that's funny because the turn he finished capping my HQ, I was capping his HQ. So if I had like one turn earlier, like if I was player one, I would have won the game, you know? So this is what I'm talking about. Like I realized Assassin is not an amazing map. It's just like it's fun. I don't hate the map. It's better than Cliff Remixed. But after playing this game, Assassin drops so low in my taste of maps because I realized, okay, in mirror match, player one has a huge advantage there, and if the HQ is threatened, you are forced into spamming battlecopter to protect it. Because even if you have tank, there's river, so there's some kind of choke point. So you need air unit to really protect your HQ. And if you already like force yourself into having air units to defend your HQ, you already lost because during that time you can produce other unit elsewhere and push on other points in the map while you just want to survive.
So on Assassins, the way you answer this is basically you don't make it an HQ, right? In high levels, how Assassins play out is you basically just fight for the center two cities. Like all the tanks are there almost 90% of the time. If all your tanks are in the center and like they don't mirror you, like they try to rush your HQ, then your tank can just shift over towards your HQ and try to contest it, and you'll generally succeed, like with the copter, right? So what ends up happening is like you use your first artillery to kill the tank on the city. Potentially you can go for a recon if like their artillery is late, to like try to deny some captures. But it's some variation of that, right? Like it's artillery into recon or recon artillery. And then the artillery then breaks the pipe seam on the side. And the moment you break the pipe seam on the side, you just start spamming tanks from that base, because that base gets to the center with its tanks faster than any other base. So you don't actually like spam tanks from your strong side initially, or like in the mid game you don't spam tanks from there anymore. You spam them from your weak side, your HQ side base, and then you try to occupy the center. If you win the center, generally you will win the game because you will get an income advantage and you will have a positional advantage. And then yeah, if they try to HQ race you, then you can just answer with vehicles and you should be fine. As long as like you're aware like it's happening, you get a couple of recons to have some map awareness, but you should be fine most games.
Yeah, but that's funny because that specific game, I didn't expect like he would be able to blow up the boat because I still had a lot of meat surrounding my boat. But I was like, oh, he really went through my wall like that. Like that was not the strongest wall I had. Like I had a lot of infantries and tank, and I was making sure I was damaging all of his 10 HP infantry just in case. But that wasn't enough. I just got overwhelmed. And if I had more air unit, I would have really stopped that cap. Like most of his units were damaged units. I just didn't add the number to like pierce through the wall and then smash the unit behind.
Yeah, makes sense. Here I think like the only interesting that question this turn is like, do you use the 9 HP or the 10 HP infantry to kill the 4 HP infantry on your mountain? So the reason why I picked the 10 HP infantry is because I want to get your tower really fast. If I use the 9 HP infantry, it takes 3 turns. 10 HP will take 2 turns, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really funny if I have 140 attack into 100 attack. Like, basically, I'm a better max fighting into like you with the tower. Like, I'm a max who stole your tower, right? Like, that's what it ended up being if it was a 2-tower map. So yeah, that's why I chose to do that. And then like another 1k income honestly is not gonna change that much for me. Like I already know I have an income advantage, so it doesn't really matter. Having that much more income doesn't really change anything. And then yeah, like the rest of this game is only just me using my recons to kill your infantry, and then I just kind of just dive you at some point and win the game there. So yeah, like here we can see like Sensei battlecopters are insane. I say Sensei because I have 140 attack right now, 145 actually. So Sensei battlecopters can one-shot infantry on planes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 100% kill on planes. And then they take like 7 HP from a tank on planes. It's pretty insane. Sensei's pretty broken. So, like, Eagle Copter with Sensei stats is also insane. And yeah, honestly, like you try your best here, you put up a fight, but there's really nothing you can do anymore, right? Like,
I wanted
you don't
a
have
winter furry, but then I realized I cannot. I was like,
yeah, like
winter furry before I die, but then I realized I
yeah,
cannot.
there's just like you just don't have enough vehicles to sack for it. Basically, it's really tough. And then like my turn. I just clear out your vehicles a little. I get your tower, right? I now have 140 attack, which, yes, you're gonna get my tower too, but then we're still in the same situation where 130 attack, but now it's one front and I have an income advantage. It's all doomed, right? And like I'm at this point, like I'm pretty sure I overextended, but it doesn't matter. Like I'm confident there's no way I can lose anymore. And then we just like make a nice little arrow formation here, just so that the board state looks nice, even if it doesn't really accomplish anything.
Yeah. So now I try my best. I want that super. I'm like, I will get it, and then I resign because I realize I can't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it, and then like I just kill everything here, and then everything hopeless. So that's the game, right? Like Cliff Remix, not a good map.
I cannot wait to upload this map. I hope I will remember this, and I will mark in the title the worst flying map ever against kantbei. Kantbei. So is there anything you would like to add up more?
No, not really. Like, just if you get this map, unfortunately, just do the opening and you'll win games for sure. Against people who don't do it, you will win games. Like people at 1000, I don't think even understand this opening yet. So you'll just get a free win on this map every time you play the opening.
That's true, because I've never seen that. Never. It's the first time I see that opening. So when my chat was telling me, do that opening or you already lost, I didn't believe them. I was like, why? What's going on? And then I realized my chat was right.
Yeah, it's honestly fairly disgusting how far ahead you can get with that opening. And it's not like Misty, right? Where on Misty, like there's some potential counterplay. Like if you know what's happening, you can get a tank on the lander and potentially try to punish it. Here it's just like it's gonna happen, but like there's nothing you can do. It's so depressing.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I think I will also end the stream at the same time. So is there anything else you would like to say? And I have a question for you before you add the end word, the end sentence. When are you making your channel? You told me about you planning on making a channel eventually. When is it a true project that will be born?
I have been working on it. Unfortunately, like my mic audio does not sound very good at the moment, so I'm still trying to like figure out a way to like fix that with like my settings. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Look, I will tell you something. You are very experienced. You have a lot of wisdom to share, and you are good at sharing wisdom. So I don't think the importance is the sound or everything when you start. But of course, when you have a fan base, as I said before, like once you met a certain growth, then you can consider having like better mic and better stuff. But I think you can start off with what you have. To be honest, what I have right now is very basic because I don't have enough subs, and I do it for fun anyway. But I think what I have right now is enough for what I do. And of course, if I grow bigger, if I reach like 100, if I reach 1000, of course the tech will go up, it's normal. But when you start, I don't think it's that important to have like the best things ever, because everyone needs to start somewhere.
That's true. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind then.
Like, you have the wisdom, and I know you can have like the fan base and the people like in my chat. He Wolf Pride is thanking me for bringing the real kantbei because the other day he was telling, "Oh, I thought you were kantbei," and I'm like, "I'm not. I'm not kantbei. Kantbei. I had him in the channel as guest, but I'm not kantbei." So even the chat is saying like he hear you well. So as I said, like start small and grow bigger. It's normal. Like I've seen on other podcasts the other day. Um, the person was basically a writer and older. He liked to write novel and everything. I don't know if you know Chris Gore, but anyway, Chris Gore is basically saying in one of his podcasts he had with someone else, he was saying people don't care about your gadgets; they care about what you have to say. And then, of course, if you meet a certain growth, you will need to up your game and have better material. But when you start, like you don't need the best of the best. You are starting. It's normal to start rock bottom, you know?
That's true. That is actually very wise. So yeah. Then yeah, I will get my channel up as soon as I can then, and
That
not worry too much about
that's
me.
very good. I cannot wait, man. I want to see your videos. What you will be doing, man? I like DJ's videos, a lot of learning, and I think you will also bring a lot of learning as well. So, is there anything else you would like to add before I end both the video and the stream?
No, not much else to add. Just guys, get that elo up. We need more people to play against at high level. It's getting boring playing the same 30 people. So anything that helps people get better at the game is a win in my book.
That's very good, man. Thank you very much for coming again. We spent like roughly 5 hours just playing and commentating. I thank you a lot, man. Every time you come in, I like to work with you, and I think people watching also like you a lot. So thank you, man. It's not everyone willing to come back, and it's not everyone like some people are saying they're willing to, but then they don't respond or they don't show any sign of life, like you respond pretty fast, and you're proactive, like you're someone we can rely on, and this is what makes you so great, and also the teaching and the wisdom. So I thank you a lot, man.
All right, always happy to help out.
Have a good night, man. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.